Mr. Tylor Gentry, welcome back to the show for the upteenth time. How are you doing, my good man?
Living the dream, baby. Yourself?
I'm doing very, very well. Just a little bit really quick. Community, if you're listening to this is the man who sponsors the podcast every single time you hear me talk about ambition threads and what they stand for. This is the man. He is back on. And I just want to say thank you so much for giving us your time and your energy, man. And to be part of this amazing community, you have definitely helped not just me out, but this community out to be 1% better every single day, man. So thank you. And I applaud you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. As always, this is like one of my favorite ones to do because you and I are like long lost brothers. So it is always fun to do. Always.
Yeah, man. It's like when you get together for someone to have a cigar, and a drink.
Yeah.
It's like, this is how we do it. Since we're not right next door to each other in the same neighborhood, it's like, this is the easiest way to, bring that impact and just kind of catch up. And selfishly, it's like people don't know we're doing this just to catch up too. So
yeah, it's really not for any of you. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry, community, it's not.
Jumping straight into a state of gratitude. What a crazy world we live in, to where you're all the way where you are, I'm all the way where I am, and we're able to connect and do some crazy stuff, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, man. It's true. It truly is amazing when you just kind of, put blinders on to what's really going on. Not that you shouldn't be paying attention to what's going on. That's not what I'm saying, guys. Take it with a grain of salt. But it's like, put the blinders on and stick to what you're doing, especially yourself and myself. It's like jobs and then being an entrepreneur and having our own businesses on the side and, barely sleeping and always trying to like grind it out, quote unquote. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you can just get yourself working towards something every single day, then kind of that stuff fades away. And I think that's the way you kind of got to go for it. And this is definitely one of the easiest ways to, to have that gratitude is just understanding what's going on, man. Like, look at this. It's like, with all the shit going on in the world, this can still happen and this can still boost your day,
Absolutely. It's people like yourself, people like myself, hopefully that, kind of lead the forefront of the change. We're in this whole crazy, I'm this, you're this, I'm that type of world. And really, like, we're all out here. It's crazy to me. The more and more, the older I get, at the ripe age of 27, I just see how similar everyone is and how we're all chasing the same goal. We're all really, at the end of the day, everybody just wants to be happy. And I think I hope at least that you and I are leading that charge, of you and I and the people in our circle and the people that we look up to and all that. I hope we're leading the charge, man, because it's definitely a paradigm shift. I think. I'm seeing a lot more positivity come out in the last at least few weeks compared to recent months, for sure.
Yeah, I think right now it's almost like forced, right? Like you definitely, there's a line in the sand, and the line in the sand isn't you versus me. It's, you want to take that side of negativity, or do you want to stay on the side of positivity and make that louder? And even before all this bullshit was happening, even before quarantine, it was always like 3-to-1 negativity to positivity. That's why positivity was never heard. And now I think that, like you said, there's a shift happening where now people, when the line in the sand, they have to make positivity louder. And it's just one of those things where now is the time, if any time ever in your fucking life, now is the time to change that 3-to-1 to positive to negative. And it's just one of those things, man. Like, we have got to make this shit louder, and we've got to show people that it is worth waking up every single morning and putting your foot in front of the other. Just really is.
It's been crazy. Yeah. But like I said, it was 3-to-1. Now I truly believe it's pretty even right now. I think, just speaking to, I've not necessarily rekindled, but I've talked to more people in the last, I don't know, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever, talk to them more about how I stay so positive, or how in the world is this and this versus 3 months ago. You kind of get sporadic and stuff like that. And that also comes with growth, as far as like what we're doing on social and what we're doing with the company and stuff like that. But I really genuinely think that more people are just not necessarily diving in and investing in positivity and all the stuff that we preach on a daily basis. But I think that they're just more, they want to learn more before they dive in. You know what I mean? So they're very inquisitive, if you will. That's a better word. But yeah, people are just more like, how do you do this? And how does, what do you listen to? And I've recommended your podcast and a couple of buddies' podcasts within the last 6 weeks more than I have in the last year. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
wild.
just, you know what I mean? Like it just, people are just more, they're wanting to get more in tune with it. It's beautiful. I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, like, dude, it's true. People are just like now, like they're like, all right, it's time. Like now's the time,
Right.
and I don't want to feel this way anymore. Like, what can I do to get out of this fucking rut? And I think that's the
Right.
biggest
Or on
thing.
the other side, they're like, oh, this is what it is. Oh, I thought it was, a lot of people think, I'm not the best motivational guy you ever met. But
Right.
peace and love, brother. Like you always say, peace and love. And that's kind of honky, but really you get into it and it's like, no. Like it's not honky. It's actually real life, people. Like we're actually doing like peace and love. It's real, people are just getting more aware of it. And man, like I said, I hope we're leading the charge. I hope people see it.
Well, that's the plan, man. That's the plan. And you know what and I know this community knows. And if it's your first time listening to this podcast, you're definitely here for like the one-stop shop, everything fitness, nutrition, mindset, and lifestyle, because this is all that we do. This is all that we love to preach. And you know what? It may be hokey. It may be one of those things, but at the end of the day, it's like, if you think it's hokey and you look at it hokey, then either you're part of the problem or you need to have a little bit of a fucking head adjustment. And I hope you get it if you're listening to this podcast.
Or, and it's just not for you, like.
Yeah, that's fine. And that's totally fine too. And I hope we're always going to be here and nothing's going to change. Come on back when you're ready.
Exactly. Like you said, you need a little bit of head of adjustment, and it might not be right here today.
Right.
When you get that head adjustment, hello.
And that's the thing too. It's like, we will still be here doing the exact same thing for years to come, because it's not hokey. And this is just who we are, down to our very core, our very soul. And it's one of those things where I don't know, well, I know where I would be, but I don't know what I'd be doing without this type of positivity in my life. I mean, I talk to you all the time about that stuff. Like, we slip all the time, but you know what? We slip in a manner of knowing that I can call you right away and that you're still the same way. And then vice versa, you can call me and I'm still in the same shoes as I was. Just a slip ain't shit. A hiccup isn't nothing. Hiccups eventually go away. They don't stay on forever.
Go away, man. Get a scoop of peanut butter and rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Act like a dog. That's what you got
down or whatever they say. But no, I think slipping reassures us that we're humans, man. I think people put people on pedestals. People look up to people in weird ways and stuff like that. And really, at the end of the day, the same people that look up to us and the same people that I look up to and that you look up to, we're all the same people. You know what I mean? We're putting on pants the exact same way. Maybe not the exact same way, but there's, putting people on a pedestal really in turn puts you in a deeper hole. You know what I mean? Because you're like, oh man, so-and-so, Anthony doesn't ever mess up and I'm over here messing up. And then that just drives you deeper, when in reality, I pick up the phone and I'm like, man, I've been slipping. And you're like, man, me too.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, damn it, here we go again. And then, before you know it, we're having another conversation 3 weeks later and, getting a Nobel Peace Prize and doing crazy stuff. You know what I mean? So I think doing the slip-ups are key, honestly. If you're not – the old dirt bike terminology, man, back when I was racing motocross, my dad would always tell me, if you're not crashing, you're not riding hard enough. It's
there simple. You go. Yeah.
So if you're trying to get better, you're going to crash and you're going to break your arm or you're going to break your head and you're going to get back up and go, okay, let's learn how to not do that next time.
And we always talk about that too. Like, failing in our book is never failing. If you're constantly learning from your little hiccups or little speed bumps or little crashes in life, you always have to be learning. So those failures, when they do come, they're actually learning. You're learning so much more than you are if you're winning.
I've learned to in my recent, probably in the last 8 months, I've learned that I'm getting obsessed with failure, man. I'm getting to the point to where it's getting too good. I'm getting antsy and I'm starting to, poke at the bear a little bit. You know what I mean? For all the listeners, I got COVID a couple weeks ago. It was crazy, but it's changed my life. Like, quarantine changed my life and made me realize that I wasn't as busy as I thought I was. Well, then getting COVID and actually forcing myself to quarantine made me realize that, I'm doing all the right things, but I'm not doing them strategic enough. So I've built this plan, this just insane, clear plan of action. And it's just been, it's amazing. But steps and literally writing down each step, I'm still failing every day. Like I'm still finding that person on the around the corner that jabs, and after that second or third jab, I'm like, you know what, man, like this is telling me everything I need to know. It's telling me everything I need to know. If I was doing it wrong, everything would be right. You know what I mean? And I mean, we're still moving forward. That's the best thing ever. It's been, but it's been good, man. It's like I said, failing is, like you said, it's failing forward. It's not really failing. It's beautiful, man. I've grown to love it. I'm getting weird.
Yeah, no, but I think that's it, because the faster that we do fail at something, that's just it's a quicker way to learn what not to do the next time.
Oh,
and I think
sure.
a lot of people go for a very long time playing the quote unquote safe route, and they're winning. Then when that failure does come, they've had such a good taste of winning, they think they're untouchable. When it does come, they have no idea how to handle it. That
reminds me, I have to ask you this question. I've probably asked you this question before. Are you a hate to lose or a love to win?
I'm a love to lose. If that was an option.
Yeah, there you go. I
don't care about winning at all. I honestly don't care about winning. When it comes, it comes. I would rather lose, because the lessons that you get from falling down is way greater than just winning all the time and being on top of the podium.
I think my whole thing with it was and that derived from dirt bikes, right? Like growing up, I was never destined to be a champion, like a top guy, but I always had the work ethic to do so. But I could tell you now, I hate losing. Like if you and I were to go to thumb wrestling, like I wouldn't stop until I beat you. Like it's just who I am. But victory doesn't last long. And the more I dive into this journey of, self-improvement and just changing the world in a sense, I find myself giving the advice of, hey, look, winning is great. And like everyone loves to win, like big deals and like getting a great job and all that stuff is great. But learn to love victory in a short window and learn to love failure in a longer window. You know what I mean? I always revert back to that big $10,000 loan that I lost instantly. Like it still haunts me, but it's so good that it does, in the sense of like, I don't make those I don't make those wrong decisions anymore. That was 3 years ago, so and the victories, they last in the moment. They're great and they're amazing and they're wonderful and they're still great 3 days ago or 3 days from now. But it's not something to ride the coattails of. You know what I mean? It's something to enjoy and experience, but then it's off to the races and continue to chase the next one. You know what I mean? And chase the next one. I'm equating it a lot to racing and game and putting a game to it. But that's really how I feel, at least in the last 6 months. Like I said, it's more or less like, it's not that I don't love to win. I think everyone loves to win. But I think learning the process of just the quote unquote grind and like losing, learning is so much more impactful,
Dude, 100%. It's like, you can totally this is going to be a really funny analogy. It's totally the guy who still wears his state championship ring, who's 60 years old at the gym. And that's exactly what we're saying. It's like, or it's the guy who was like, yeah, when I was your age, I was back squatting 500, and you're like, nah, dude, nah, you weren't. But like, that's cool. But like, that's it though, right? Like, you're hanging on to that one little thing, you're hanging on. You probably told the same fucking story to a billion fucking people out there.
Right.
And that's all you're grabbing onto. It's like, that's sad, man. Like, put it down, give it a rest.
I think, it's sad to an extent, because it's the only victory you chase. The one thing about winning that I've learned is that once you win once, to win twice, you have to try twice as hard. You know what I mean? Like me and you, we're going to play cornhole right now. Okay. I beat you. Let's say I beat you 21-11, right? Next game, it's 21-19. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well now I got to win. Now I got to try twice as hard, because you got a fire. And the only thing that's going to keep me above you in the fire is to stoke my own fire.
Right.
And I think people lose that. They ride that victory too long. You know what I mean? Exactly like you're saying, the state championship. That's a perfect analogy, because it's so accurate. You go to those places and you're like, man, back in my day, I was top quarterback of the league and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, that's awesome. Like at that time, I'm sure it was great, but like somewhere along the lines, you just lost that fire. And right. I think people lose it in the sense of maybe it's not that path that they were going to go. Maybe they weren't supposed to be a quarterback, and I think that's where the full paradigm shift is in that regard is finding that same fire and fuel that gave you the state championship ring and equating it to everyday life. You know what I mean?
It's hard to hang on to it. It really
Yeah.
is. Like as soon as you
Yeah.
start winning, like that fire, like you have it, you win, and you use it. But you know what? It fades faster than you get it. And we can also go back to now. We could talk about like the journey,
Yeah.
while you had the journey of having that ring or the journey towards that win or the journey towards that podium. You were doing everything correct. You didn't trip up once. And if you did, it was once, very small, and it didn't even matter. Everything was on point through your nutrition, fitness, your mindset was on point. Then you get there. That journey tells everything. Now you have two options when you get to the top and you win. You can either ride that win as long as you can to maybe make something of it, or how can I make that better and come back with the same exact fire, which a lot of people don't have that. And you can go back to the Michael Jordan, who's won it, so many times in a row. And he's a perfect example of actually having the fire every single year. Or the Matt Frazier, the 4-time CrossFit fittest man on the earth champion. It's like he lost twice and then came back to win 4 times. And he didn't just win. Okay. They fucking dominated. He dominated to the point of he moved towards closer champions. He put a gym in his garage. He stopped eating all that ice cream he was eating and he cleaned up his nutrition. He trained 10 times harder because he's going to continue to, and he's looking at first time ever winning 5 championships this year, if there is a CrossFit Games this year.
I was about to ask, I don't mean to interrupt or derail. CrossFit's still it's still a thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because I knew
had some speed bumps.
Yeah, the owner got some craziness going on.
He's out.
Bit. Oh, he's out.
He's out 100%. First, he stepped down, and then people said it doesn't make it. We don't care if you step down because you still own 100% of the company.
Right.
And then he appointed a new CEO, and then 2 weeks later, he sold, and he's out completely. And then that was the move CrossFit had to make to save CrossFit. Yeah. He had to be 100% out for people to be like, now we have a new owner, which there is a new owner who is completely the opposite of old man Greg Glassman. And it's funny that you say that, to switch gears really quick, because old man Greg Glassman, as racist as he is, it's almost the exact same age and the look at life today, black and white, as all the fucking politicians. It's so funny. These people are too old. Get them out.
Yeah, it was super weird. I don't know. I'm not gonna dive too deep into it because I don't know the full thing, full what happened. But I would have, my main thing was, once I heard it, I was like, man, it would be a real shame if they just shut it down, because I mean, good God, on a positive level, they've changed the game. They've changed lives, million. I mean, everyone, you can't go 5 miles down the road without seeing a CrossFit gym. You know what I mean? So I was just curious about that, but
it's a shame. It's just another way of why we should all be so grateful in this world today, because you never really know. Like you just said, putting people up on a pedestal. This man was untouchable. All he had to do was open his fucking mouth. That's all he had to do. And now, over 3,000 plus affiliates dropped out in a week. And that's 3,000 affiliates times $3,000 on the low end, because they pay $3,000 a year for their affiliation, saying CrossFit. Wow. So people rip down the word CrossFit at their gyms. So, and that's just a starting point. That was just in the first week.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, money's great. Money does some amazing things. I think, but money makes people different.
Oh yeah.
It just exposes, I'm not going to lie to you. I want all of it. I want it all. And the reason I want it all is selfishly, I want a nice home for me and my family and all my friends. I want to be able to, private jet up to Chicago and kick it with you for a day and come back home. And you know what I mean? Selfishly, I want those things, but ultimately at the end of the day, what I spend on me and my selfishness is peanuts compared to what is given and what is provided for, life in general. And I genuinely believe that. And I think that in the same regard, that there's millions of people like me that have that same mindset, but there's also millions of people that have the inverse of abusing it or anything like that. It's a shame. Cause like you were saying, I mean, 3,000 people, and there's no telling how much money,
Mm-hmm.
or there's just no telling how like what was going on. There's no telling. I mean, it's a huge thing, but that makes me kind of excited because now I'm gonna go in there and tell them they need some new clothing sponsors.
100% set it up. Call the CEO.
Call them now.
Call them now. Call them now. Speaking of change and speaking of giving before you even ask for a little bit, and being the gracious host that you are and everything that you do. And congratulations on all your continued success that you're having. It's amazing to watch you grow, and it pushes me to be better myself. I heard from a little birdie that there's a launch going on tomorrow. And also you've been kind of spraying something out there into the real world, but it hasn't launched yet. Something about a Be Ambitious podcast.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. We've been, like I said, we've been slowly, just chipping away, man. Just chipping away. I'll touch on the podcast first. This has been in the works probably for 2 years, maybe. Probably the last time I talked to you, I know we talk periodically, and every time I talk to you, I'm like, yep, we're going to do it, man. We're going to finally do it. One day it's going to happen. Well, as soon as quarantine hit, a buddy of mine came over, we did a podcast, and the chemistry was so good between it was 3 of us at the time. And I was like, I've toyed back and forth with the idea of the podcast and what it was going to be and all that. And basically leaving there, lined up the deal. The next week we started recording what is now the Be Ambitious podcast. We've been recording the whole month of July. Going to release the month of August, which is Saturday, I think. Either Saturday or Monday. I'm not really sure, but I'm excited, man. It's basically off the cuff, just everyday life of how we can just take all the craziness that goes on a daily basis and flip the script and make people just think differently. It's a perspective podcast, if you will. Guests are on. Usually it's the panel of positivity. Is what I like to call it. It's me, myself, my buddies, Michael Richardson, Copernicus Johnson, and Trent Denson. And we just dive on all things positive, man. It's something that, kind of got that morning show vibe. There's, jibs and jabs of humor, but there's good meat and potatoes in there, man. And like I said, I'm nobody without the people that are around me. So it's fun, man. It's fun. At the end of the day, I'm pretty sure I've told you before, but at the end of the day, never make a dime off that podcast. I'd be okay with it just because I love talking. You know what I mean? It just providing value. It provides more value, I think, for us than the listeners, in my opinion.
Dude, it so selfishly does, dude. Seriously, like.
And it's amazing that there's so many people in this world that are so similar to you and I, and that's why we have listeners, and that's why we have supporters and family and all that. And I'm just pumped to continue on the journey. Like you're going to be on as a guest. We've got you written down, and there's a slew of just like all-star lineup of people that just, that are in our network that we just pull in and just, dive in on what keeps them ahead of the game and what, just kind of getting everybody's psyche out, because I think that you surround yourself enough with powerful people, you become a powerful person. I think it's sick, man. I'm pumped.
Yeah, man. I think it's one of those things too, like we were talking earlier when we first started the podcast. It's like the only thing that we know how to do is to continue to put one foot in front of the other and show people that it's completely possible to do that. And this is just another outlet that we can do it on. And it's like, until another brand new outlet comes out, the new app comes out, we're going to be on that one too. It's just, these are ways just to keep spreading that positivity and that motivation every single day. And like you said, like a lot of people think it's some hokey shit, but it's not, man. It's like we selfishly thrive on this. Is the fuel that we need for the things that we do. And it's like, without this fuel, man, like ambition wouldn't be shit without this fuel. Everyday coaching, my coaching business wouldn't be shit without it. My clients would suffer from it if I didn't have it. Cause obviously like, I buy into your brand, bro. Like I get it. That's why we connected in the first place back in the days. I say back in day, it's only been about a year, not even, but it's like, that's the thing though, too. It's like we fell on top of each other because of what we were spreading. And that's the honest to God truth community. If you don't even know the story, it's almost like a shadow now of how we met, but that's definitely how it happened. It was just like you, and you're like, oh yeah, I got this cool clothing brand. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I was like, well, this and this and this. And everyone just kind of kept coming in the picture. It's like, holy shit, man, look at this wildfire we just started.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. It's still to this day, it's the most humbling, like, I can't put it in words. I mean, I still, on a daily basis, as as rigmarole as the day to day is, it's still at the end of the day, it's one of the most gratifying things you'll ever do. You know, like to see it. We recently did a bodybuilding show.
Saw that. That was wild.
Biggest show we've ever done, ever in the history of ever. And it's only going up from here. You know, it's just wild. I mean, people drove from out of state to come hang out with Ambition Threads. That's their sole purpose. And the show, you know what I mean? Like we were the for a few people, we were the main driver. So it's nuts, man. It's nuts. Blessed beyond recognition for sure. You know, couldn't do it without yourself. So thank you for all the love and support for everybody who's, you know, listening to this. It's couldn't do it without you guys either. So and wouldn't want to. I think it's the coolest thing in the world. I think we're gonna flip. With the future of everything going on, I think our time is now, in the sense of there's not a brand like us, and I truly believe that. We're going to change the world, man, and it's because of every person listening to this, you, myself, my circle, your circle, our circles. It's time, man. It's gonna look like what's that Mel Gibson movie? Braveheart. It's gonna look like that. We're all just gonna storm several places and yelling at people. It's gonna be fantastic.
That's it. And taking heads. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. Figuratively speaking.
Yeah, we're not killing anybody. Swear to God.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, I think the brand, Ambition brand is it is something very unique and something very special. And I do believe 100% to the bottom of my soul that it is one of a kind, because of the fact that it's not being stemmed from a popularity standpoint. It's being stemmed from a loving standpoint. And I think that is what sets you apart from everything. And the thing is, and I don't see a problem with this, is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now, the message is still going to be the fucking same.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's even going to be louder. It's going to be the same message, but in a way louder way. It's going to be prescribed to everybody. And I think everyone's just going to have to buy that prescription, because it's going to be one of those things where this will never falter. And I believe that's the beautiful thing about the brand itself.
And so much more refined, right? Like, yeah, we have a great message right now, but 10 years from now, I mean, so much more pinpointed to the individual. It's going to be, I just can't wait. I don't want to be the guy that's like, it's going to be great, just trust me. But like, it's going to be great, just trust me.
But fuck you, it's going to be great, trust me.
Yeah, but it really is. But that throws us right into launch this weekend. Didn't really put too much hype behind this one. Kind of have been doing some behind the scenes stuff as far as COVID kind of threw us for a whirlwind. We had a lot of stuff planned that kind of just, we kind of threw our hands up there for a second, admittedly. But we have some cool stuff, some sneak peeks dropping more today to kind of show the range. But we've got 4 new Flex Fit or performance hats, super premium. They're polyester, they're lightweight, they're perfect to train in, they're perfect to live in. I mean, my buddy does fishing a lot, got him one. It's waterproof, like not 100% waterproof, but it definitely beads up water perfect. And they're just premium, man. Like you feel them and they just feel like a premium, it's a premium product. Super proud of those. We've got some face masks, just because that's the new norm now. I'd rather have you branded than not,
Right.
Pup back there just being a crazy dog.
Yeah, if you guys can't see community when you have to watch this on YouTube, because the dog's been chilling the entire time.
Yeah, the entire time. But yeah, the face mask thing was I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, I was a little reluctant at first. I didn't want to drop them, but it's the new norm for now, and not to piggyback off the new norm, but I'd rather you be wearing an Ambition mask, and just another reminder to be ambitious. So we got some face masks coming. We've got some cutoff tank tops coming, 5 new colors in those. So a lot of cool stuff hitting the website tomorrow. Oh gosh, no way. Did I lose you?
Nope.
Oh, I hit a button and scared me. A lot of new stuff dropping tomorrow, Friday, which would be the 31st.
Gosh, jeez.
Dang. So big stuff there. September 1st, we have a date for something that's probably the biggest thing of the brand to date. And I'm super excited. Can't unveil too much of it yet. I'll tell you off mic, but it's a structured it's just cool. It's another way to bring the family closer together. And man, 2021. I said it about 2020, and it's shaping up to do exactly what was said. But 2021 will be a lot more just widespread wildfire, man. That's the whole thing. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So with talking about patience, like you just said, community. If you don't know what, rewind that part really quick. We're gonna talk about it right now. Actually, is Tylor said he said it in 2020, and in 2021 it's going to come to fruition. How does that make you feel when you know the work that you've put in, and the planning and the blueprinting and the fuck ups and everything that's come along with the journey, which is the most fantastic part of it?
Yeah.
And it's like you do all this work for a launch, and then by Sunday it's over, and you're like, let's go again. Let's do it again. How does that feel to like really blueprint a whole year out, to know that you are more successful in the next year than you were the previous year?
Yeah. It's, I don't know that it's fully hit me yet. I've never,
because you're a super humble dude. That's why.
well, it's that, but it's also, like I've never in my life planned. I'm not a planner. I don't plan. But I can tell you within the last 6 months, I've done more refining on just me as a person because, like I said, I don't have a college degree. I think the one several perks to college, but one of the great perks of college is exactly that, right? Like planning and scheduling and getting systems in place and learning that side. And I never did that. I'm a creative mind at heart, and I fly by the seat of my pants. I'm much more adaptive in chaos than not. So planning for me is very difficult, but learning how to do it the right way and learning how to do it, at least the right ways for myself, are extremely beneficial. Just because we can plan, like just because we can get ahead of things, just because it's, right. It just makes life, it doesn't make it easy. It just makes it more, I don't want to say predictable either, but it just makes it easier. Essentially, it makes your decision-making easier. I was listening to a interview with my spirit animal, Rob Deerdeck, and he said that he put $1 billion bill in his pocket. He wants to make $1 billion. That's been my goal since day one. So I went on Amazon and ordered $1 billion and put it in my pocket. And everywhere I go, I carry it, and just small little manifestations like that. Like I said at the end of 2019, I said, man, 2020 feels like you get that intuition pull in your belly. That to me is the good Lord telling you that you're on the right path. I'm gonna, let's keep doing right by people, keep making moves and making yourself better, and we're gonna keep this thing going. And man, 2020 to date is already about 65% better than it was last year, and it's halfway through the year. Right. So we're already on that way. So to wrap back around, I don't know how it feels yet. I'll let you know when I'll let you know when I feel it. But it's just like I said before, it's crazy. It's crazy. Right. You and I know each other now, and like we're family, and it's crazy that that's even possible. Like I don't know. It's crazy to me that you'll send me pictures of you guys repping Ambition in the gym, and I'm like, dude, 20 years ago, this would have never even, and we've worked really hard too. So I have to equate it a lot to the hard work we put behind the brand, but 20 years ago, it's a completely different story, and so I was telling somebody the other day on an interview, I said, I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. Whether I stop today and never make another sale, never make another dollar from anything I ever do, I'm just happy to be here, man. Honestly.
I think that's, that equates to probably 99.99% of your success, is the fact of just loving every single day that you put your 2 feet back on the ground every single morning. And I know you and I have gone in very great detail and depth about the situation between the pasts that we have. And I believe somewhere in the world, that energy connected somewhere down the line. And then, we have very similar, not same, but very similar stories in our past. And I think it's one of those things where if you can physically, emotionally, mentally wake up every single day and just fucking smile. Yeah. And understand that you are gifted one more day. Yep. Because here's something fucking crazy, right? Let me tell you about this. This just hit me right now. I go to my barber, right? my barber Jerome has a bunch of guys that he works with. He has three or four different barbershops, right? One's in O'Hare, one of the airports in Chicago, so he does really well, but it hasn't been open since quarantine. Anywho, he's got a lot of guys, he's got a lot of guys that, grew up in bad neighborhoods and stuff like that cut hair. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. You grow up in a bad neighborhood, you grow up in a bad neighborhood, and guys lean towards, cutting hair a certain way in these neighborhoods. And that's exactly why a lot of us go to real barbers, because they do it different, man. They do it different than the great clips and the honey cuts and all that other bullshit out there, from some kid that just came out of some kind of fucking school, doesn't even know how to hold scissors. These guys know how to cut guys' hair better than anyone that's been in school. And these guys have never gone in school. But I digress to saying, talk about loving your life every single day. He went out of his way to pick up one of his workers. And just a little bit of like 3 or 4 weeks ago, this guy cut my hair. They were very busy in the barbershop. And there's the first time I ever met him. I've seen him before. His name, this is going to freak you out. His name is Tylor. And the owner, Jerome, went out of his way 45 minutes one way to pick this kid up every single day and drive him home every single day. And Tylor's had a very hard past. And he's really leaned into drugs, and I think he has more than one kid at the time. He's got a girl, not married, and he was doing good. And then all of a sudden he wasn't at work. And I went to get my hair cut by Jerome, and he was like, I don't know where the fuck he's at. Like, the last time I saw him, he was with you. He's like, I can't get a hold of him, this and this and that, all this stuff. I'm like, cool. 2 weeks later, I got my hair cut again. I just want to get my beard lined up and everything like that. So I go back in. He charges me barely nothing to get it done again 2 weeks later. And I sit down, and he kind of was very silent with me. Like, him and I bounce a lot of shit, life, business. We talk about everything, man.
A barber is a therapist, man.
Dude, 100. He blocks out 90 minutes for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about some shit, we get in great detail. Like, that is like, you can't tell anybody what we talk about type therapist type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could both be in trouble. No, it's but then he tells me, he's like, hey man, before we go on with this haircut, Tylor passed away.
No way.
And I looked at him and I go, fuck. I said, drugs? He goes, yeah, drugs. He lost the battle. And I'm going to get emotional about it. And I said, what was it? He goes, heroin. And I said, bro, what? He goes, that's why I've been picking him up, And, we can't wake up and, not put our foot, in front of the other one anymore. Like, this life is fucking borrowed, bro.
Oh, dude.
This is borrowed. We owe. You don't think you owe? You owe, bro. We owe every day back. Yeah. And if you wake up in a negative mindset, or you yell at the loved one that's next to you, or you fucking kick the dog when you wake up, like, you need to change something, and you need to change it soon, because 20 years from now, if you're doing the same shit, eventually you're going to get out of it, right? Eventually you're not going to do the same shit anymore. And hopefully you're not hurt by what you're doing, and hopefully you don't hurt anybody else in what you're doing. And you're going to wake up one day and you're going to look back and go, holy fuck, I was granted this life and I wasted half of it.
I think the moment you switch from life happening to you, that's why you wake up and kick the dog and yell at your significant other, and life is just gloom and doom, because it happens to you. Like Jerome could have easily said, man, I can't believe Tylor did this to me. Like, he doesn't care about me, or blah, blah, blah. And he could have made turmoil on his own life. When in reality, Jerome, yourself, myself, and hopefully all these listeners, and if you're not, you need to hear this. Like, life happens for you. Everything is for you. It's not something to bring you down, not to get too biblical. I don't want to press on anyone's views, but myself, I'm a Christian, and it does say, Jeremiah 29:11 is, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, and it declares of prosperity. Therefore, like, all of this is not, I'm not here to bring down on you, man. I'm here for you. Like, I lost my best friend in 2013 to a dirt bike crash. He died doing something we both love more than anything in this world. I could have easily resulted to drugs and and all that stuff, and chose to choose the latter, man. Chose to choose the, you know what, I'm going to use this as fuel for my fire to change my perspective on life. And in turn, I changed my entire life. I've changed, you know, hopefully I've changed people that have come in contact with me. Hopefully I've changed their lives. And that, you know, to me, in my personal opinion, I think script of life happening for you and not to you. Uh, life opens doors for you when you have that perspective. Excuse me, when you have that perspective. You know, you ever notice you can't force a square, what do they say, a square peg to a round hole. That's a life happened to you person. They're just like, oh, this won't work for me. This won't work for me. Well, once you start the gratitude and you start the perspective change, your square peg turns to a round peg and it fits right in the right holes and everything starts working out. Like it's just, if I were to do a 30-day challenge or anything of that nature, that's exactly what I would do. I would tell people for the next 30 days, don't complain about anything. If you do complain, you have to start the challenge over. You know, if it's too cold in the house, like don't start over. Like that's a complaint. Like there are people that live in 100-degree weather with no air conditioning. You better shut your mouth. Like there's a million ways you could skin a cat in the sense of that. And I think once you flip that, I mean, life opens up for you, man. It's unbelievable. Man, I'm sorry to hear that about Tylor. That's a gnarly thing, but that's an unfortunate thing about drugs and all that. It consumes you quick. I mean, it's like, you know, it's quick, but man, life happens for you every chance. For every person listening, every that's my sole purpose, at least. Every person I see, I'm going to give them the gun pointers and be like, hey, listen, life is for you. It's not to you.
100%. And those, you know, these crazy mazes that we go through every day, or these speed bumps that we have, like they're there for a reason. And I think, you know, we need to start looking at it like that. Just like you said, you have to look at these challenges as it's a challenge for a reason, because somewhere, somehow, whatever you believe in, you know, faith has put that in front of you and it wants you. Someone wants you to challenge yourself at that. Now you can either sidestep it or complain about it, or you can take it head on. There's really not too many options here. And a lot of people would be like, well, there's tons of options. Like there's really not. And if you think that there's a bazillion options to it, then you're probably wrong. You have to change your mindset. Right. And it goes back to that fixed and growth mindset, man. It's like every challenge, if you and I, it's fucking stupid to even think about. If you and I never took on head on these challenges, where the fuck would we be? Where would we be right now? I'd be 6 feet under, number one. Okay.
If I'm not 6 feet under, I'm just not happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm somewhere.
You go nowhere with that. You go nowhere with being happy. Like nothing happens to you positively if you're angry all the time or mad at something. When you don't even know what you're mad about anymore, it's like, dude, take a step back, bro. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I told someone the other day, I genuinely think we end every podcast we do, we end with 3 to 4 things you're grateful for. That's how we end every one of them. And we got off mic and I was like, you know, if that doesn't make you happy, something's wrong with you. And then Michael, he was like, yeah, if you can't find, you know, one thing to be grateful for, there's something, you got to do something. Like you got to think about something differently. And I mean, every person listening right now, if you're saying to yourself, there's nothing I can be grateful for right now, life just sucks, you're listening to a podcast right now. Like,
yeah.
like that, I'm done.
Yeah. Are you in a car? Are you in a house? Is it on your phone? Is it on your $1,000 phone? Do you have $200 AirPods in? Like, come on, man. Like or even that, like you're not deaf, you know, you're not blind if you're watching it, you know, it's just unbelievable. But I think people like when you say like, you know, start a gratitude journal, they're like, oh, I don't journal. It's like, no, listen, dude, you already shot it down without trying, but it's like, you have to have something that you're gracious for every single day, whether it's one thing or 10 things. Like if you can't physically write down 3 new things a day, I think people look at it like it has to be this big grandiose thing. Like, I touched this person so big today that it doesn't have to be that, man. It's like we say in the nutrition and fitness world, man, grab that low hanging fruit. You know, your lights are fucking on. Like I have 3 lights on right now. Like, come on. I have 2 laptops open right now. Like those are amazing, amazing things. Amazing things.
I start my day the same way every day. First thing I do is I open my eyes and Lord, thank you for my sight. Thank you for my breath in my lungs, and thank you for movement. And I just do a little wiggle and I'm off to the races. And you know, it's as simple as that. That right there alone puts you in the right mind frame to live your best life.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's like, if you have to stop saying I have to I get to.
I get
to do these things. I get to go work out. I get to be on a podcast with the owner of a clothing company. Like I get to do those things. Like those, like, and once again, saying I get to those, it's like, that's borrowed, man. Like, you know, that's borrowed time. This is all borrowed time. You're giving me your time. Like I asked you for your time. I don't even know if I can repay it back. It's one of those things like, it's just such small amounts of gratitude that we have to understand that are out there. It's all around us. It's almost like a video game. It's all around us. You just kind of have to slash through the bushes to find it. And it's right there every step you take, but you have to be open to taking it, or else you're just running through the game and not paying attention to the people that built it. It's so funny, man. Like,
do you listen to Dave Ramsey?
Yes.
The financial guy.
Yeah.
One of his methods of obtaining a debt-free life is the snowball effect. And you can equate that to literally anything. But gratitude is a perfect practice of that. You can start as small as, I'm grateful for my breath. I'm grateful for my t-shirt. I'm grateful for this and that and the other. And before you know it, you've snowballed into, man, I forgot the other day my mom needed help moving her this or that. You know, like it's a snowball effect in a sense. Not only you can use it for financial freedom, but you can also use it for positivity. And that is what we're here for, people.
Yeah, I've said that. I've said that all the time too. I mean, you can equate that to anything, fitness, nutrition, or mindset. It's like once that snowball starts rolling down the hill, eventually it may be 1 to 6 to 7 weeks, months, years, but there's gonna come a time where you try to slow that snowball down and get in front of it, and you look up at here like, and I'm not stopping that today, because it's so big, and the momentum that we have in our lives is so fluent that momentum carries you into the next, into the next, into the next. Now we can flip that on its head and say, listen, if you're making that snowball out of negativity, there will come a time where you go to stop that negativity, and it's gonna be very fucking hard to even try to stop it. And the bigger it gets, the harder it's gonna be to stop. So stop it now, stop it today, start chipping away at that and replace the negative. Every time you take something negative away, replace it with something positive. And I think that's a big thing that people forget about too. They're like, well, I stopped doing that for a week and guess what? It's back. What did you replace it with? What did you replace it with? Did you just think you can cut that piece of cheese off and like, that's it? Like, that's not how it works. You have to replace it with something, man. It's taking a piece of that negativity out of you. You have to replace that piece in your body with something else. You have to. And that piece better be a positive and motivating thing, because that's going to be your fuel to get rid of the rest of the negativity in your body. And I think a lot of people look at it as, if I don't get rid of it all at once, it's not going to, no, dude, chip away at that shit, because it took you 30 years to fucking get it. It's not going to go away tomorrow.
Exactly. It's the same thing as anything else. And once you start that, man, your life is just, you don't have to have money. You don't have to have anything. It's just like, you're just happy to be here. Just happy to be here.
And that's the biggest win in the world. I think I tell this community all the time when I do my solo podcast, it's like, listen, I don't have much. I work very hard for the little that I have, but I fucking love every single day that I do this thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm so glad I quit the rat race almost going on 3 years now ago. It's like, you look back at it, it's like, who am I? Who was I back then? It was like, you live in a completely different life, and none of it was for me. None of it was. And now that I understand that I'm taking more time to myself and understand that this is all borrowed time, and it can end any day. I have no control over that. No control over that. And that's why you and I always say, control the things you can, and the things you can't even dwell on them. Not even for a second, because that is taken away from you.
Yeah. What would be the point? You know, what would be the point of trying to, control something you can't? It's you hit the nail on the head every time. I mean, it's once you can start and you can flip that, man, I'm telling you, it's off to the races. People you know, you need money and all that. And you need a steady income. And especially if you have a family and stuff like that, I'm not knocking that at all. And I know you're not either. But it's just so important that happiness needs to be the driver through and through. And you're the driver of that, because you create the systems of your everyday life. You know, you don't have to do anything. You know, I know I mean, the homeless population in this country is massive. You know, you don't have to do anything. You can choose that route, you know, but making the best version of yourself every day, you create systems and you create plans and you surround yourself with those people and you do those things. And before you know it, you know, you could be just as happy making 25 grand a year as you are making 250 grand a year. You know, it's not you know, the pedestals we paint, the things we see on social media or TV or things like that is man, I want that life because they have a nice Ferrari and girls everywhere or this and that. And I've grown to, you know, now look at the things that genuinely make me happy. I love coming home to my girlfriend and our daughter, and I love hanging out with my pup. I love talking to you. I love doing those things. So the things that I find love and happiness in, I create systems and create time for those things. And I'm in Zen right now. I'm literally a Zen living dude just all the time. Like, and it has nothing to do with money. You know, the things that have to do with money, I do the same systems for. It's not the money that I'm chasing. It's the things that make me happy, and they end up making me money. It's not a envious or greedy thing. It's a happy thing. And once you can tap into that, it's dangerous.
Yeah, dude, 100%, man. It's in all of us too, and you don't have to be an entrepreneur to enjoy it. It's there for your taking. Just have to break down that wall, man, and just start living the life that you want to live, and then things will just start falling in front of you piece by piece, and you'll be like, "How is this possible?" And you'll be like, "Oh, right, because I changed some shit." And you know, and then
the more you get with that, the more you feel that pull. I'm a firm believer in intuition, and to me that's God talking, but to others, you know, it's the universe or whomever, but that pull that you get, that feeling you get right before a big event or something is telling you the right things. And I genuinely believe that the more positive and open-minded you are to life, that pull gets stronger, and it helps you with your decision making, you know.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I love it, man. T, before we wrap up, let's do 3 great things that you can tell someone today, actionable items that they can get them off to the races, since we're talking so much positivity, motivation, and things like that, besides the fact of the biased opinion of go ahead and check out the launch going on tomorrow with ambitionthreads.com.
Yeah.
Besides that, man, give some 3 awesome actionable items for this community.
Gratitude. First thing you do when you wake up in the morning is you be thankful for, if you wake up alone, be thankful for the roof over your head or the blankets covering you to keep you warm. If you wake up with someone, be grateful for that someone. I think gratitude is the first thing, first step to just creating the best life for yourself. Second is chase happiness. I think that there's been a stigma that's been going on too long of, you can't be happy and be successful, or you can't be happy and do these things because I have all these things. And I really do think that happiness is the first choice. Because if you're happy with you, I'm going to be happy talking with you, and I'm going to be happy with my girlfriend and my daughter and my dog, and I'm going to be happy with all my best friends and my brothers and my moms and all that. So do things that make you happy. And number 3, something that I've recently learned. I used to be scared of making money. I used to have a weird, you know, my sole purpose in everything that I've ever done is that I want people to know anything is possible, and that you can do anything you set your mind to, and that I really enjoy being a liked human being. I'm fixated on that in a sense, but I'm fixated on the sense of I like being liked for the things that I do. And money to me was a thing of like, okay, I can't be a good person and make money. That doesn't make sense. In reality, it does. You know, you got to have money to do big things. You know, if you've got a little bit of money, you can do a little bit of greatness. But if you've got great amounts of money, you can do great amounts of shit. So don't ever be scared to to make money and make moves. You know what I mean? It's a slippery slope, I guess you're going to say, but
Right.
Good people do great things with all the resources. So that's a selfish one. The third one is very selfish, but it helps.
Right. Ty, where can everybody find you at, man? What's all your
Oh,
.coms and
man.
where you at the most, bro?
Well, I'll tell you another thing I live life by is if you look good, you feel good, and you look real good at ambitionthreads.com. Every day, because we're doing big things. We live the dream every day. Ambitionthreads.com, at ambitionthreadsco on Instagram. My personal, I'm trying. All right. I'm trying to do a better job at being on there every day, but it's at _Tylor Gentry, Tylor. And the Be Ambitious podcast. Be on the lookout for that. It's at Be Ambitious podcast on Instagram, and big things coming. A lot of cool stuff, and more of just life, man. Pump.
Love it. Love it, brother. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Community, I always love to end this, and I can actually talk for Tylor when it comes to this. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Without you, we wouldn't be entrepreneurs, and without you, we probably wouldn't be here today. So much love, peace to you, your family, and loved ones around you. I hope you take some of this and you pay it forward the best that you can. And please share this message with anyone that you know who needs it. And if anyone needs to talk, Tylor and I are here. Please shoot us a DM or an email. You can find him. You can find me on Instagram. We basically live on there. So Tylor, love you, man. Thank you so much for coming on again, brother.
Greatly appreciate you. Thank you, man.